Welcome to Resilience and Resolve with Lance Drury.
Welcome back to Resilience and Resolve. I'm Evan Mack here with tax attorney Lance Drury. Today we're talking about IRS scams and how you spot them, how to respond, and how to protect yourself from losing money or compromising your identity. Lance Drury, sir, welcome back.
How are you, Evan? It's always great to see you.
I'm good. We talk about bad actors, and we talk about that in past episodes, but can you talk to the people about what are some common IRS scams that people are facing today?
Well, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of scam artists out there. They steal people's identity, but I have to tell you the other thing that's bad is they'll get these notices and they'll look like they're official notices from the IRS. And it'll say at the bottom, we can settle your case for 10 cents on the dollar, and it'll put a figure. So like if you owe 100,000, it'll say, we can settle your case for $10,000. And guess what? If you read the notice, there is no physical address on that notice, and there's either an 800 number or an 888 number. And I have to tell you a story from several years ago. I mean, this happens all the time. People call us up. They'll say, I got these notices. Are these for real? And I'll take a look at them and say, no, this is a scam. People, even my existing clients, will even bring them to me. And I'll say this is a scam. But several years ago, I live in a small town, St. Genevieve. I'm in St. Genevieve right now, 4,400 people. I was born and raised here. And a guy I know came in several years ago and said he had received a phone call. And they said, we're from the IRS. If you don't send us, it was either $3,000 or $4,000 today, we're going to come arrest you. Well, they don't operate like that. But again, he sent the money in. So the next day he comes into my office and he has another. They call him the next day and they say the same thing. You send us $3,000 or $4,000 or we're going to arrest you. I said, give me the phone number. This is a scam. So he gave me the 800 number. I called him. As soon as I identified myself as an attorney, they hung up. So you've got to watch, there's not only those scam artists for money, but there's also a lot of scam artists in this field. My field gets a lot of bad press because there's a lot of scam artists out there. There's a lot of people that don't do the work. They just take the money. And I can give you some examples. I had a guy come to me. I think I talked to him on Christmas Day at a restaurant in St. Louis. And he said, I need to come see you. And because he knew from hearing me on the radio who I was. I said, that's fine. So he brings it in. He had somebody do an offer in compromise for him. They offered $1. I think they were out of Michigan. And he has $200,000 or more in his IRA. And I said, and they don't even list the IRA. They falsified the financial statement for the offer in compromise. And I said, you're not a candidate for, he owed maybe $40,000, $50,000. I said, they're going to value that IRA at 70 to 80% of its value. That knocks you out of the offer in compromise right there. And so you've got to watch who you go to. I tell everybody, there's 3 rules. You hire an attorney that does this every single day. Accountants are great with the numbers, but accountants just dabble in this. I just got off the phone with a woman. Her husband's on disability. Her accountant told her they owe $56,000. Oh, just set it up for a payment for $1,300 a month. I said, that's not right. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And the IRS takes advantage of lay people. They make them pay back the full amount. They don't tell them it's all based on your ability to pay it back. And this accountant obviously didn't know that because I think that most of this $56,000 I can get wiped away because she's a hospice nurse. She probably makes decent money. But he doesn't, but they tell me there's no money left over at the end of the month. So hire an attorney that does this every single day. Don't get somebody that dabbles in it. I'll tell you what, everybody thinks this is easy. When I was a regular small town lawyer, I spent 15 hours a year keeping up on this stuff. Now, every attorney in my office, and there's 8 other attorneys than me, we spend a minimum of 50 to 100 hours a year just keeping up on this stuff. The second thing is go local. Don't hire and number 3, don't hire one of the big boys. There's a lot of scam artists out there. They take your money. They have some salesman on the initial call. They get you in. You don't even get a professional handling your case. And by that, I mean an attorney or an accountant. And they don't do any work. And they never tell them up front, how much it's going to cost. So they take $2,500 this month. Next month they want another $2,500. And I've seen them spend $20,000 or more and not do anything for these people, and they just keep asking for money. So you have to watch who you hire, and you have to go and do your due diligence. I'm always happy when people do their due diligence, because we're a 4.7 out of 5 Google reviews in St. Louis. We're a 4.9 out of 5 in Nashville. I've co-authored books. I've given speeches around the country. I won Top Practitioner Award in 2016 by the American Society of Tax Problem Solvers. I'm going to be interviewed by Jack Canfield in September. Jack Canfield wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Yes.
And so, the firm has a great reputation. It's because we do the work. In fact, Evan, I got to tell you, I'm driving to St. Louis tomorrow. I've got 2 appointments up there. Sunday morning, I got 2 telephone interviews with people. So we do what we have to do to get the work done and get people the best possible deal. And I know I've talked too much here, but that happens.
No. It's good. It's good information to have, and I think it's something that people need to know, especially you saying going local and giving people the information that they need, because the scam thing is real. In Pennsylvania here, I don't know if you deal with it, but in Pennsylvania, the scam going on around now with the IRS is this text message going around with the link. Do you have anything like that there? Like you click this link for IRS stuff, and that's been hurting a lot of people in Pennsylvania where I'm from.
I think I've seen a notice from the IRS warning people about this. I haven't had anybody here talk to me about that, any prospective clients or existing clients. So I haven't heard from any of the clientele, but I do know that the IRS has sent out a notice, a memorandum concerning that, and I reviewed that some time ago.
You talked about the one scammer talking about jail or threatening to arrest people. Did you see anything about suspension of Social Security numbers, anything like that?
No, I haven't seen anything like that yet. But I do know, there's a lot of identity theft. What happens is people will steal somebody else's identity and they'll prepare a return, and it'll have a refund, thinking they're going to get the refund. The return's probably bogus. And what happens is then they come in and they'll even have a fictitious name as their spouse. Guy's not even married to this woman. And of course, they don't get the refund because my client owes money to the IRS. And of course, the IRS, intercepts any refunds when you owe them money. So the people that are perpetrating this aren't getting the refund. But I bet you in 20% of our cases, there is identity theft. It is huge. It's just unbelievable how much identity theft there is concerning IRS matters. And a lot of times, this is the only time that we allow our client to talk to the IRS directly, because in order to clean this up, they want to ask them questions. And a lot of that is information that we're not privy to, and the questions aren't always the same. And so sometimes our clients have to call them only to clear up identity issues.
For people that can't identify a scammer, I know it seems obvious to certain people, but for people that it's not, can you tell the people at home what the IRS will never do? So that's how you know it's a scam automatically. What won't the IRS do when they're trying to collect?
Well, the IRS is never going to call you up and threaten to arrest you. First of all, they're a bureaucracy. They're compartmentalized. So the IRS makes a referral to their criminal investigation unit. And so those are the people that are going to investigate you criminally. They're never going to call you and say, either give us money or we're going to come out and arrest you. Number one, for the most part. Now, if there's significant fraud, that's an exception. But for the most part, you can't go to jail just because you owe taxes to the IRS. You can go to jail if you don't file your tax return. But, that's in theory. It doesn't really happen that often. But if you don't file your returns, there is a statute on the books that criminalizes that behavior. But in terms of owing money to them and having to go to jail because you owe money, for the most part, you don't have to worry about that.
What's the first thing a person should do if they've already given money away or information away to a scammer?
Well, that's a good question. You better First of all, when you get that letter, you should call a professional, an expert in that area before you ever send the money. Once you send the money, I don't know how you're going to get it back because, I guess you could investigate them, but that's probably going to cost you more money than what they asked you for. So, I think after the money is spent, it's gone. But at least this guy had the good sense to contact me when they called him the second time. And so he didn't do it again, or he would have lost more money to these scammers.
Do you ever see a law? Because when I see a lot of things about scamming, even as IRS, where people giving away money, typically see the scammer get away with it because they kind of say there's like a loophole that they've kind of given the money out of their own free will. Do you ever? And so there's not a law in place to kind of protect a person from doing that. Do you ever foresee in the future there being a law that like a scammer type law? Because I hear that all the time. Anytime a scammer gets away with it, they're like, well, you kind of just gave them the money. It's kind of considered a gift, even though. Do you ever see that change in any of this kind of scammer thing that's going on lately?
Well, I haven't heard of anything. I don't know of any pending legislation in that area, but I don't think that that's unconceivable. I mean, I think that could probably happen at some point in the future, but I haven't seen anything. I don't think there's any pending legislation on that. That's unfortunate. But, and as you know, a lot of my clients are older. I have people, normally it's 40s and 50s. It's hard unless you're self employed to have tax liability in your 20s and 30s. And the ones I get are generally those who are self employed. But guess what? I get people that come to me in their 60s and their 70s because they have this come to Jesus moment and they want to clean up their mess before they die so their kids don't have to take care of it. Now, the kids aren't going to be liable, but they could come after the estate, but they just want to take care of it before they die. They decide, I got to get this rectified. But, there's a lot of scammers that prey upon older people. And I think that's true in this area as well. But unfortunately, it goes on. It happens. I have not heard a whole lot of that lately in terms of people showing me notices or anything. The bigger problem is people hire firms that don't do the work. For example, a lot of these firms, they get the financials. Nobody fills them out right the first time, but they just take them at face value and submit them. And they know that these offers are not going to get accepted, but they're just trying to make easy money. And we will not send an offer in compromise in to the IRS unless we believe it's going to be accepted. Not only because we don't want to do that, because you're basically just delaying collections again, which practitioners are not supposed to do. But we charge extra for an offer in compromise because it's a lot of work. And I don't want to charge these people more money to get an offer in compromise and then it doesn't get accepted.
Can falling for a scam delay maybe your refund or trigger even a bigger IRS red flag?
Well, I don't know about that, but there's a lot of refunds that are delayed because of other collection issues, such as they're reviewing one of your tax returns. They don't feel like it may have been filled out accurately. I see a lot more of that than the area in which you're talking about. So there are times when the refunds are delayed because the IRS is examining another tax return, so they want to hold up that refund. And unfortunately, that could take 6 months. That could take a year because, and we've probably talked about this before, Evan, but the IRS is so screwed up now. It's just taking forever for things to get rectified with the IRS. And the main problem is they just don't have enough people to do the work that's demanded of them. And unfortunately, it's my clients who suffer from that.
So we talked about how seniors are kind of more vulnerable than most. Is there anything else or any other small business owners or anybody else that's more vulnerable?
Not that I'm aware of. I see it with W-2 people. They don't have to be self-employed. Somebody just decides they're going to make up a fictitious spouse name. They're going to submit it and they're going to show a refund on the return. And again, they never see the refund because my clients owe them money and they're going to intercept any refunds.
So how can a Lance Drury help someone recover after falling for a scam?
Well, that's a good question because that's hard to do. I don't know that we can do that. We don't go over the scammers. That's not our bailiwick. We just help people in their resolution with Uncle Sam, but we can certainly advise them not to fall for this again. And we can show them if they bring us the notices or they tell us about the telephone calls, we can certainly advise them not to fall for this or to do this ever again.
Lance Drury, sir, thank you as always. Thank you for the information. It was a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to talk to you, Evan. You're my man.
Awesome. And thank you all for watching. Scams don't just steal money, they create long-term tax headaches. If you need help recovering or protecting yourself, visit lancedrury.com. Like, subscribe, comment. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.